Okay, so here we go again. I had to come off. I had a little girl's emergency. So, this is, my name is Anjanette Potter, also known as Adam's Rib, and you are listening to um, Fridays Live at midnight. I am finding that this new midnight time on Mondays and Fridays works for me. I kind of like this. To be honest with you, I don't feel as though like Friday nights I really like this simply because Friday nights I like doing this at midnight because like we're starting to get into cuffing season and so everybody's in. And I have a tag that I want to do for YouTube. Right now, YouTube has become my latest. I'm hardly on live TV anymore, except to watch The Voice, which is going to be another topic, which is going to be which I'm going to get to in a minute. So YouTube has become my latest topic here, and I have to say, I love it. So because we're entering what many young people call cuffing season or Netflix and chill season, I want to talk about ways that you can save money. So right now, and I've talked about this before, how if you are a family and you're wanting to save money, um, YouTube is probably going to be a good bet for you because YouTube is not only doing original programming, which many of the streaming services are doing now, including Netflix, including what is the other one? A lot of the streaming services are starting to do um, original programming, including Hulu, Amazon Prime, Amazon, and different ones. And I have to say, I'm really impressed because they are really competing for your dollar. That's really, that's what that's about. Peacock is who I was thinking of. So Peacock is really doing it when it comes to, they're starting to get original programming. And of course, now they're asking for money and everything. But like Peacock, because NBC Universal now owns Bravo and all kind of different other programs. So it's like they are really doing what it takes to get next to your dollar. Um, and I'll say this, it really isn't that expensive. It's like $5 a month, which by the time you get done with all the streaming services, my goodness, it starts to get up there, depending on how much you're paying. But it's kind of worth it because they're also bringing you some very quality programming. But with YouTube, I want to give a plug because they're getting like the latest movies, and I'm talking like Nope is on there already. X is on there already, which if you saw the X movie, they now already have a origin story. I forget what the young lady's name is. I'm trying to get my computer up and running like it's supposed to. But they have X, which is the first one, and it won't be long until the next one goes up, depending on how long it stays in the theaters. So if you know anything, if you're a movie buff like I am, and you go to the movies a lot, you know that the longer that the film stays in the box office it's usually doing really well, and it means it's usually a very good film. If they go straight to video, maybe it is, maybe it's not. If it goes to video or streaming too soon, um, you have to wonder, why did it go so soon and why did it do so poorly? Now, in the face of recent movies, there's a lot of them that are getting a lot of controversy. So, but let's say you have a family and like a bunch of y'all want to see the same film, then YouTube would probably be a good bet for you, because right now, let me see here. So let me go ahead. I should have clicked on movies. It is time. Okay. Anyway, while I'm warming that up, What I was talking about when I hurried up and jumped off here. So this week we lost another legend. At the age of 50, rapper Coolio has transitioned. So you know that this is a born again Christian channel. You know that you know that as born again Christians we believe in an afterlife. We don't believe that your life ends at death. That death is a transition into your hereafter. And where you spend your hereafter really largely depends on what you did in this life. So, for the born again Christian, we believe that in order to go to heaven, one must have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Accept him as your Lord and Savior in the land of the living. And then, once you exit this life, you are now going into heaven. And if that was what Coolio did in the land of the living, then when he opens up his eyes, he's opening up his eyes in heaven, and that to be absent from us is to be present with the Lord. And so because we believe that, we've had people ask us really weird questions about who ends up in heaven. And I, was looking, because I had people, well, what about serial killers, or what about child molesters? What about the worst of the worst? I'm like, well, yeah, if they, accepted Christ in the land of the living, they're not going to be that person. I think people base stuff like that on our limited and finite understanding of our limitations in this life. When you go into the hereafter, one of the things that I like to say every day is sin has no power over me. Now, our Bible says that we've been given this treasure in earthen vessels. So what that means is, we struggle with the limitations of this flesh because of sin entering the world from Adam and Eve, and that fruit, the forbidden fruit. So because sin have entered the world, we know good and evil. We know how to do both good and evil. We know how to choose between good and evil. We know what evil is. We know what the limitations of the flesh are. We know what it is to struggle with sin. We know what it is to struggle with this here, with our flesh, and not just our bodies, but also fleshly and carnal thoughts, evil thoughts of good and evil. We struggle with all of that because of sin entering the world through the first Adam. Once the second Adam, which is the person of Jesus Christ, the only other person that God was able to be made without the coming together of a man and a woman, we now have the ability. One of my favorite Bible verses is how Jesus came, and as a result of him getting on the cross, as a result of his death, burial, and resurrection, he have destroyed the works of the devil. That means Satan has no authority in this earth except that which we give him. When we give over to him, when we do evil, then he has power. When we resist evil, when we resist sin, then he doesn't have any power. So one of my favorite things to post, and I'm going to start posting it on the Adam's Rib page, and you've seen it on my YouTube channel here. I like to post quotations basically to affirm myself and others about the power that we have over evil. Sin has no power over us. Not only that, when we accept Christ, we are given forgiveness. My one favorite saying to people is that you do not have to, your past does not have to define you. You have a right to change your life for the better anytime you want. You don't have to stay stuck in your past. You don't have to stay stuck in sin. You can decide to be a new person anytime you want. And through a relationship with Christ, we then have the supernatural power to resist all that wants to have a hold of us. I've been watching, along with the rest of you, the Dahmer story over on Netflix. And I'm here to tell you now, I remember every single one. I remember when these crimes happened. I remember when it hit the news. I was over at my aunt's house and we were just, chilling, enjoying a Sunday. Get ready to leave. My favorite time to leave is 7 o'clock, so I could get here in Columbus around 9, get my son to bed, and just be able to chill for the rest of the evening. Unpack our stuff, unpack our clean stuff and put it away. Take out our dirties and throw them in the hamper, and all of that happy stuff there. So we happened to be up and we were, having Sunday dinner. And they had been rolling the crimes all morning. So even though, like, there were serial killers before Jeffrey Dahmer, this one, number one, was so gruesome because of, everything. He was, accountable, what he had done to his victims. The fact that his victims were minorities. I remember at the time, because just like anything else, when it's a news story, I remember sitting and watching the black ladies who were crying. And I was like, and they were like, and so they were asked why they were crying. And they said they recognized one of his victims. And they were talking about how they had tried to get the police to intervene, and how the police basically sent the young boy to his death. And it was the 14-year-old Laotian boy. There have been several attempts. So the one where the young man got drugged, and it was up to Dahmer's grandmother to intervene, which I thought that was interesting. And how that person reported being drugged by him, and the police still didn't take it serious. And my heart went out there too. I'm like, but one of the things I was like grateful that he made it away from him, alive. But the different things that they go into in this miniseries, the number of times that people reported his behavior and nothing was done. The times that, the one man caught him drugging men at this gay bathhouse. And, and nothing seemed to be done then. Now, when this whole thing happened, when it happened in the 90s, when we were paying attention to it, like I said, the young ladies were crying. They were older. They were, I forget exactly how old they were, but they were crying because they recognized the young boy. They recognized him as being severely underage because he was only 14. And all I could think was, how do you be going through the streets, dazed and confused, off your kilter, naked and bleeding, of course, for the purposes of, you know, this being a film that people are going to watch, they couldn't be as graphic as what was going on. Um, how do you be doing this? How does somebody call the police? And how do the police believe the guilty party story and send you back into the house with them? And it really is a mindset that is a mixture of racism and homophobia. Okay? It isn't okay to send anyone back to their killer. And it doesn't shock me, because how many reverends have sent women back to men who abuse them? And the abuser is able to explain it off by saying, oh, we just had a little fight. We just had a little lover spat. Because, yeah, a lover spat sends you out into the street with no clothes on and bleeding. And I remember, and to this day, I will never forget these women crying, because she was like, they tell the Black community that we never get involved and that we don't trust the police. But when we do call the police to try to, you know, prevent a crime, and we do get involved, look what happens. I do believe racism played a part. I do believe homophobia played a part. I believe their own bigoted attitudes, you know, prevented them from doing anything. He could have been caught then. He could have been caught when the young Black man was drugged, and, you know, the grandmother insisted on staying there and wouldn't leave him alone with him. And I believe the grandmother knew he was up to no good even then. Okay? That's just how terrible that is. And I remember at the time that the killings happened, thinking he knew it, he knew what he was doing. He knew why he picked the neighborhood that he picked. He knew why he picked the victims that he picked, because a good 70% of his victims were Black or people of color. The overwhelming majority of his victims were people of color. So he knew what he was doing. So I've been watching about 2 episodes a night, because binge watching taxes me anymore. And so to watch it, it's just like, something else to see it. And the crimes were so graphic and so gross, so grotesque. I mean, he just had serious problems. And the family background and everything, the mother just ran off and just, you know, didn't care how he was getting along. You know, it was just like, well, I got him, you know, blah, blah, blah. But his mother had some issues with mental illness. I remember back when I was doing my undergrad, and we were doing ab psych, and we had to use the DSM-4, and we had to diagnose and do a complete write-up for different personalities. So for tier 2, which is the personality disorders, we had to do antisocial personality disorder, and we got Ted Bundy. So one of the things that we have to do in psych, especially ab psych, is we have to do a family background. We have to list any contributing things within the family history. You know, if they have a mother or father that has a family history, because many mental illnesses, believe it or not, can be, it's not, it can be nature, it can also be nurture. So, one of my favorite psychologists, can't remember what his name was, but he believed, when with children, he believed in the theory of little scientists, you know, because they're constantly getting into things and trying to figure things out. And really figuring things out is how they learn. And so one of the things he believed, that it was a combination of nature and nurture. That you have to look at the that you have to look at the brain's chemistry, but you also have to look at the environment. Like under a different environment, there's a possibility that the person won't go forward to kill. But unfortunately, you just never really know in some cases. In his case, I don't know, you know, I don't know that there would have been anything to prevent him from killing. But if the police had been on their job, he might not have had as many victims. The fact that, you know, the fact that there kept being incidences of being able to catch him, and he had the victim that he wound up killing, because the women were upset because they tried to intervene, and the police sent this young man back in there to die. And just earlier, I don't know if this was a coincidence or not, but Dahmer had been arrested for molesting that kid's brother early on, before he got to, you know, before the boy became one of his victims. And it's just horrible to hear that. I'm like, they didn't care because he was an immigrant. If you recognize just how bigoted this country, that's why I don't listen to no anti-immigration talk. Because as a black person, I have never allowed myself to be that naive. If they're talking, especially immigrants of color, okay, especially immigrants of color, nobody says anything about the British coming over here or whatever. Okay, usually it's, you know, the Latin community, the Asian community, the Indian community, and you know, all this. Well, we're going to do something about immigration. Why not make it easier for people to become citizens, or make it easier for people who are seeking political asylum, or the different reasons why people are coming over here? I remember back in the 80s listening to this older white woman just go on and on and on. And I said, well, let me say this. I imagine if things were so terrible in my country that I live in, if there was a political war going on, if I didn't have no freedom, if people were bombing stuff all over the place, or just a corrupt government, whatever the problem is, and I'm looking and I'm hearing all these good things, and Americans beating their chest talking about what a wonderful country we have and how much freedom we have, I probably would be tempted to swim across whatever I had to do, or do whatever I had to do to go to safety. Okay? Many people are living, you know, and let's face it, we got it as good as we fight to have it. Because I'm telling you, I've gone through some things in recent years that if men could do us, if men in this country could do us like men in other countries do they women, they would do it. If people, every time I see stuff like the Dahmer story, and then I hear people go, oh, you're fake, oh, you're blah, blah. I'm like, trust me, you do not want everybody to act on every thought that they have. You want a little bit of fakeness up in there, because if people could just be left to their own designs and just do everybody like they wanted to, we probably would have more Dahmers. I don't have the faith in mankind that some of y'all have. I believe good people exist. I mean, I'm not that cynical and I'm not that jaded. Okay, I don't believe that mankind is hopeless, but at the same time, I have to think about the fact of what God has to say about mankind. And while we are not born evil, we are definitely born sinful. Okay. One of my old district managers at one shop that I worked at, I was saying, I don't believe we're born evil, but I do believe we're born sinful. And she started laughing because she had a Sunday school class, and the number of little kids that will lie. And I'm talking about if they can get a cookie and know they're not supposed to have it and hide it behind their head, hide it behind their back or whatever. And my grandson just turned 4 this week, and the fact that at a very early age they know when they're doing something you don't approve of. And I remember one time he was messing with my blinds. And so I said, "What are you doing with my blinds?" And he said, "Kiss, kiss, grandma." I was like, "Yeah, kiss, kiss, grandma, but you're getting away from these blinds and stop messing with them." So, and I say that, believe kids if they tell you somebody harmed them, by the way. But what I'm saying is we know at a very early age how to have intentionality. I don't believe it's newborns. Please pick up your newborn. Please feed them. Please make sure, never neglect really young babies. But what I'm saying is, like, once we get into that threshold between their first birthday on until their fourth birthday, they show signs pretty early that they at least know right from wrong from your perspective. I remember my oldest child, who is now 34. Back when he was younger, I had one of my friends over, and so she went over by my stereo and she picked up a cassette tape of mine to look at it. Still a music aficionado. And so my son looked at her and said, "Oh." And so I said, "What'd you say all for?" And she said, "Justin, you must not be allowed to touch the stereo." Because he said, "Oh," like if somebody said something, somebody would say something that he knew that he wasn't allowed to say, he would say, "Oh, they said that bad word." You said a bad word. And we would laugh. But really, at a relatively young age, kids know when they, so imagine adults. Okay. And so, like I said, we probably would have quite a few Dahmers and everybody else if everybody just did what they wanted to do and acted on every thought. And it's usually people calling everybody fake. And I'm like, child, if everybody around you acted on every thought, you would probably get punched in the face so many times. Messing with people. So I'm going to continue to watch 2 episodes a week, which is about 2 hours, not 2 episodes a day, which is about 2 hours a day just to finish it out and everything. I'm also, I think I might tonight check out Tyler Perry's Jazz Man Blues, I think it is. So my mother was telling me about it and she really liked it. So I'm going to check it out. I'm a Tyler Perry fan still. Um, well, when Tyler first came out, you feel good about somebody being a born again believer and prospering and doing well. And like you want all of us to put our foot, like I'm the type of person I want to see everybody do well. I mean, because especially when we're talking Black community, because what good does it do us to sit around and make each other miserable and do crazy stuff to each other? I was also somebody put some George Lopez in my stream. So George's show, I remember when it was on the air. I also remember watching George when George got his talk show, not his late night talk show, one of the first Latins to do so. Kudos to hopefully the Latin community feels good about George's success. I know as a Black person, I always feel like when one of us succeeds, it opens up more doors for the rest of us. So when you go in there, you want to hit a homer. You want to do good. You know what I'm saying? You want to bring your giftings home to your own people so that they can prosper. So I always like to see when somebody does well. So when George got his sitcom, I watched and it was funny. But I'm gonna tell you what, the way they presented George's mother, George, she was horrible, but she made me laugh so hard. The way that they would make fun of her and get after her, it was funny. But they had one episode where his daughter, and I remembered it when it was on the air. His daughter got into a fight with another girl at school. And this is kind of one of those female things that I never understand. I'm like, I don't know if girls, yeah, and you can't blame it on Latin because Latin girls were smarter when we were younger too. So this guy lied and said he slept with his daughter. And so the girls at school started calling her a hoe. And I'm like, doesn't it take more than one woman to make, what, doesn't it take more than one man to make you, how do you become a hoe off of one man? Number one. And number two, how do you become a hoe after a man lies on you? Like, how do you become a hoe? Right? Like, I've been looking at this whole thing with, what is their names? Danny Lee and B. Simone from Wild and Out. And I'm like, first of all, I would make Wild and Out pay. If I were B. Simone, they would have to pay me for my pain. If I've got to miss an episode, because I remember in the days that I did hair, there were people who didn't care for certain stylists. And 9 times out of 10, when you're talking about customer service, the customer is not always right. Okay? And many people like to come in places and get stuff for free, including hair services. And so people, or they come back and the person could be done told, you could be done told them the truth, you could be done your level best, and now all of a sudden you're the Wicked Witch of the West because you didn't cave in to some crazy ass demand that they had. Now, don't get me wrong. I go to restaurants with my mom all the time, and my mother is a very picky, very specific eater. And I'm one of those people, like, I don't got to eat whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I got to eat it, then I need you to fix it like I want it. So I understand both sides of that because when I wasn't the hairstylist, when I wasn't the customer service agent, when everywhere else I went, I was the customer. Okay. And so I try to put myself in B. Simone's shoes. Like if somebody decided they didn't want to come into a salon on a day that I was going to be there and they decided to come in on my off day, well, that ain't no big whoop because it's my off day. I'm not expected to be there. And in the world of hair, if you ain't there, you ain't getting paid. So it's a day that I'm not going to be there anyway. So, have at it. Come all day long. Come and sit in the place, spin, do what you got to do. But let's say my manager calls me at home and says, I need you to stay at home because someone's going to be here and they don't want to see you. And it's over some personal shit. Not even professional nonsense, but it's on some personal nonsense. She likes my ex-boyfriend or tried to sleep with my ex or whatever. Okay, then now we got a problem. Because if I'm missing work, then I'm missing money. And if I got to miss money, and I don't feel like I should have to miss money, I know my YouTube thing still ain't acting right. Why should I have to miss money? Because you don't like me over some craziness. Okay? Over a dude who humiliated you on the internet. Okay? Let's just be honest with ourselves. We're not talking about the nicest of guys here. So I'm sitting over here saying, if I got to be at home and, here B. Simone is on Everybody Talk Show, generating sympathy. I'm like, okay, no, that's not how that's going to go at all. What's going to happen, if I got to stay at home, then you're going to pay me because you asked me not to come to work, not the other way around. Right. If you ask me to, well, ain't that Nick Cannon? Then Nick Cannon would be paying me. Somebody gonna pay me. Okay, if I gotta miss, episodic TV, they're paid per episode. So she missed episodes and missed tapings and all this other stuff. Now she do it because she drugged out, and being a diva and acting a fool. That's one thing. Okay, but if it's happening because somebody else is having a problem with me, then yeah, you gotta pay me. You gotta pay me for my pain. And losing money for me would be a pain. I just don't see that. And I don't see how that person got away with it. So, mm-mm. Okay. Okay. I just happen to do some verifications here. Okay. Still trying to get YouTube movies here. So I'm gonna say this, ladies, don't. I'm gonna say this to teenage girls everywhere and grown women. It is never, ever, 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 ever acceptable for you to fight over a guy. Don't do it. No matter what the reasoning is, don't do it because it is not worth it. Well, what is she sleeping with your man? Did she hold a gun to his head? My mother used to say years ago that it takes two to tango. So if she didn't force your man to sleep um, with her, then the problem is your man. One of the things I said about the whole thing with B. Simone and what is it, Lil Baby or whatever little dude's name was, I'm like, some of these dudes got a revolt. Yes, some of these dudes got a revolving door in their bedroom. Okay, and while you sitting over here picking at the next one, and just about every single one of their ex-girlfriends, every single one of their girlfriends was a side piece to the last girlfriend. So I do not understand what the fight is over. I've always had at least one question with guys. When is the last time? When is the last time you entered a woman's life and wasn't bringing a bunch of drama? Okay, and if women are having to confront each other over you, then you're bringing drama, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. So it's horrible. Anyway, I'm trying to get in here and see what YouTube movies are being. So let me see here. This is what I'm gonna do. I don't even know why I went there, and I could see me going live. So let me look at movies. My Friend Dahmer is right now on YouTube. If you just haven't gotten enough Jeffrey Dahmer from this series, you can go see My Friend Dahmer, which is actually free with ads right now on YouTube. Let me see here. William and Kate, which is old. Independence Day. But I want to get to the new drops. Yeah, let's get to the new ones. So Top Gun Maverick, Bullet Train, Nope, Fall, which I've never really heard of that one, Idris Elba Beast. So these are all 2022s. I just saw Nope not too long ago. X, which is horror. I'm trying to wait till I have a time where I can watch this in the daytime because I love horror movies, but I don't like to watch them late at night before I go to bed because I don't want that in my brain. Okay, The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke. I really want to see this one. Jurassic World Dominion, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The Invitation. Where the Crawdads Sing, which was in the theaters not that long ago. The latest Elvis movie with Tom Hanks and Austin Butler. Spider-Man No Way Home. Well, Spider-Man and Coraline are a couple years old. DC League of Super Pets. Orphan First Kill, which I'm thinking that probably is a origin story. The original Hocus Pocus, which is 93, not the newest one. The late 1,000 Years of Longing. Now, the only thing about 1,000 Years of Longing, I'm like, YouTube must be crazy. I'm not paying that much to, so wait till that one. The average rental on YouTube is probably anywhere, if you do standard definition and not HD, you're looking at somewhere between $3.99 and $5.99, which is not bad. Okay. Let me see the latest it's not the latest John Wick, it's 2014. The original Top Gun, The Wolf of Wall Street, the most recent Batman with Zoe Kravitz, Straight Outta Compton, which is 2015, but still, Bloodshot, the 2019 John Wick, the latest Invitation 2022, the latest Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I'm like, they waited an awful long time. Confess Fletch, Beetlejuice, which was 88, The Bad Guys, Midsummer, which I wound up watching on here. The second John Wick. I think all three John Wicks are on here. So if you just want to make a night of it, the Us is on here. I think Get Out is on here too. So let me see the last Halloween, 2018 Halloween. So it's a whole lot of 2022 releases on here, plus some classics. If you're like me and you like classic movies, this is the channel that you want to go to. I've watched a few classic movies on here. There are also a few just straight up movie channels on here that I like. because I like to, watch old movies. I definitely like to watch some of them. So let me see. YouTube originals. There's YouTube originals. I know I've been watching this one series, and I'm going to pick up and watch more of it. Um, it's on Vogue, the Vogue channel, and it's talking about the contribution that Black models have made to the fashion industry. So they go into the early days. I'm like, Lord, they went into my decade, the 70s, okay, late 60s, early 70s. I tend to be a little bit in love with that decade because there were a lot of firsts, and it brings back a whole lot of memories, and it brought back a whole lot of supermodels that, man, when they started making the cover of these magazines, they showed Iman in the early days. They showed one of my biggest crushes on Different World was Dwayne Wayne. Well, his mother, Beth Ann Hardison, is a famous model. And so they interviewed her. A lot of the earlier women, they talked about the Ebony Fashion Fair. Now, I remember I got to go one time, and I'm like, I'm ready to look it up to see if they still come every year. So here in Columbus, they would come every year, and I finally got to go, and I bought tickets for the after party. I had a blast. It was fun, and all the models went to the after party. So you got to get autographs from them, and everything, and it was just. Now, for those of you at the Ebony Fashion Fair, um, was an extension of Ebony Magazine. So, Mr. Johnson, the man who was over Ebony Magazine, his wife, Eunice Johnson, was the fashion editor, and she was over the Ebony Fashion Fair. So many famous Black models got their start modeling for them. And we're talking not just female models. I believe there's quite a few male models if you look that up. Black male models that got their start modeling with them. And the one year I got to go, they had these twins, these because they were all black, these twins there, and they were gorgeous. And I got a chance to get an autograph from one of them or whatever. And so it was just really fun. Being a person who did hair for like 20 years, even though mine don't currently look like it. But I did hair for 20 years, and so that's kind of one of my niches. I love to look at fashion. I love, and not just, people tend to think of people who like to look at fashion magazines or shallow. It's not about that. There is so much creativity in fashion. I love to look at award shows and see what these designers are going to do, how they're going to dress people. And so when I did hair, I remember this one lady described me to a T. She said, "You are a creative person, and the human head is your palette." I was like, because in the salons where I worked, yeah, they were white, but I was the one who kind of brought the flavor. I was the one who, the black, if you move into the suburbs, you're gonna in your black, you are trying to find a black hairstylist. I was always that person. I would, but I was very creative with everybody's hair, and I was very creative even with white hair. And so I pretty much did everyone's hair. You know, because to me it's boring to just stick to one ethnicity. I liked, I went into one of Fiesta's black salons here locally and worked and learned how to do all the updos that were in the 90s and different hairstyles. And so I just really enjoyed it. It was, I have no regrets about that experience. I'm retired out of it right now, or a little bit retired. But like, people will show me pictures, and I think they think because I'm a Christian and that I'm saving it, that they're going to get this, very conservative, reserved reaction. And I'll look at something and be like, I think that is so cute. I think that is so, I like the more avant-garde, the more creative looking, you know, the more creative looking looks. And so it's just fun to watch this thing. And I'm going to watch the rest of it because the next episode they talk exclusively about Iman and her contribution, being African, and some of the, horrible stereotypes that were made up about her at that time, because they had her as this like bush woman who couldn't speak no English. Woman knows 5 languages, um, that she don't know no English, and just had them talking all kind of crazy ways toward her. It was terrible. But like you see, she's still going strong, still looking good. Okay, I follow her on social media, so she posts stuff that's very inspiring at times. And many of you know she's the widow of David Bowie, the rocker, and she'll post stuff, in memorial to him right around his birthday, or the anniversary of his passing, and I'll just comment and be like, we miss him too. They seem to be, kindred spirits. They were really good together. Um, Most of the time, like I don't know everybody's deep little secrets, but like I said, watching stuff like that to me is very fun and everything. So, my creative side, people don't know just how much art goes into fashion. When you see these creative looks, like that takes a lot of work to do all of that. It takes a lot of work to put all of that together. And so now I'm on to, when I stop doing hair, my creative juices move to food and then music. So now I'm doing online stuff. Like I said, I thank God for my new subscribers. I'm doing everything I can to try to upgrade the type of content that I bring, so that, you'll feel good about supporting my work. My goal right now at this time is to be monetized, because it's not that I don't want to work. I just don't want to have to work an outside job. I would like to be able to be a full-time content creator, and my goal is ministry. Now I want to use my giftings to win people to Christ. Ultimately, that's what I'm called to do. That's what I feel called to do, and I want to do that. So, when you support me, and you can support me anywhere on social media. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button when you see my stuff, and please subscribe. My subscribership has been going up. I feel good about my lives, because it seems like when I started doing live, they really climbed. So to me, that's almost like a sign, like, okay, that means God want me to get on here and preach. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bless you with the word. I got to get in here and do some serious research and start putting my face back in my word again, so I can start bringing it again. So I'm going to get off here. I've been on here for an hour. You all enjoy your weekend. We are celebrating my my little grandson's 4th year of life. I'm official as of let me see, today is, as of yesterday, I have officially been a grandma for 4 years. So it's my 4th year anniversary as a grandma, and his 4th year of life. We are so grateful for him. I remember the first year that I posted some stuff, and I said, I never thought that I could have so much love for a human being outside of when I looked at your mother and your uncle when they were born. I never, when I had the two of them, I was like, I don't think I can love anybody more than I love these two people. Sure, they got on my nerves. People talk about Like, I get so sick and tired of the anti-child people having people. Like, until you tried it, until you have spent a good average of 12 to 18 hours of your life pushing someone out, bringing someone into the world. I remember one of my co-workers went with me to the hospital to have my daughter. She asked me if she could sit in because she was studying nursing. And so I said, yeah, that's cool. So she came in there. She said she wrote this paper on the experience of watching my daughter be born. And she got, I think, an A plus or B plus. And I now know why she got such a good grade. When I saw my grandson into the world, I'm like, it's like they come out and they grab a hold of your heart. That's the only way I can describe it. They put their little fist right around your heart the moment that they come out. And I remember talking to him the whole time he was in her belly and, saying, and Giovanni, it's grandma, and all that other stuff, right? And he's still like, he will see me and just, get so excited to see me and everything. I'm like, what are you doing? Hi, grandma. So it's, and some of my friends who had grandchildren before me used to tell me, they're like, I'm telling you, when you become a grandma, I'm telling you, it's just different. Don't know how to describe it. And they were right. It's different. Like, you want to see them, and, it's just different. They're so precious. I tell people all the time, I think God sends them to you little. I think it's a conspiracy. I think God sends them to you little and cute, because if you had to parent the other way and start off with them grown and go backwards, you probably would think twice about having them. When they're little and cute, and you remember how, that fuzzy little skin and that good baby towel smell and everything else, and how, their first smile and their first everything, their first steps, it's just the most wonderful feeling. But boy, as them critters start getting into the double digits and start being grown and start having opinions and stuff and want to challenge you ain't had no fun until they start challenging their upbringing and start making you question if you raised them right, until you start to see them make good decisions with their life. And it's like, ooh, I'm glad I hung in there. But I'm here to tell you now, I tell my kids all the time, though, I'm like, you guys were fun to raise. You were not that much of a hassle. I also think, having a sense of humor when you're a parent really, really helps. It really does. You have to have a sense of humor, because if you don't, you will be in a straitjacket. But I wouldn't put them back. I don't take nothing from my journey as a mom. I will be posting more to my Sex, Food, and Family page. So, like I said, I have like 7 additional blogs now that I'm going to be posting on. All of them are, interests of mine that I really like. More movie reviews or commentary. They made a new fire starter. House of Gucci is on here. So, like I said, and on average, they're probably maybe $3.99 to $5.99. I think the most I've ever spent is maybe $6.99, and probably not that much. I'm thinking the most I've spent is maybe between $5 and $6.99. Of course, there's sales tax and everything. But I'm mentioning this right now and hyping it up simply because we are coming into what people refer to as cuffing season. It's starting to get a little colder out. And for those of you who like to come home on Friday nights and enjoy a nice, family movie with your family and with your loved ones, or with your sweetie, and just like to watch it, just like to do some binge watching, YouTube also has like whole series on here that you can pay to watch. Uh, I think the Law and Order series. The only thing with the Law and Order, I was looking to see if Thursday night lineup was on because I missed this past Thursday and it wasn't on here. Made me mad. But like, let's say you have a series that you want to catch up on because you missed a few episodes. YouTube has it there, and they're getting a lot of um, YouTube originals. So if you want to look at some original programming and you don't want to watch, you just want to, you're looking for something new, they have a lot of original programming on here as well. Ooh, the latest Scream is on here. Suicide Squad, Marry Me, J-Lo, some of y'all J-Lo fans, um, Encanto, The Swearing Jar, Dig, Emily the Criminal, Spiral. Yeah, and not only is YouTube getting them, they're getting them quick. Like, I'm thinking if you really are wanting to save money, like, for me and the Queen Mother, if we really want to see it bad enough, going to the theater, that's not a big thing for me. But let's say you're, a parent. Let's say you're a husband and wife, and you have 3, 4, 5 kids, and you all want to go see the same movie. If you really, once it gets colder, if you're anything like me, once it gets colder, you hibernate. I hibernate. I don't come out in the cold. Not if I can help it. I'll come out to go to work, and that's about it. Um, but coming out in the cold is just not my thing. Once we start getting into, close to Thanksgiving and all that, that's when I start planning for 4-day weekends and staying in. I'm not even trying to hear about coming out and nobody's cold. I try to stack up my money so that I have enough that if I'm off for 4 days, I'm not missing any dough. For real, I'd rather put some money aside in the bank and have enough so that when I'm in, I'm in. And I still got some money to spend on me and little man and his mama and my own little man who is 35, 34 now. Like, I'll stack away some coins because when it's really cold, I don't really like to come out at all. Not if I can help it. And here lately, I've been jobs that allow me. Been looking at jobs that allow me to set my schedule and don't, penalize me for needing time off. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the first weekend of October. For those of you who didn't get to get pictures of the leaves, I tend to like to take pictures of, because we're in Ohio. Ohio has seasons, and I tend to like to take pictures when I can of us this time of year because it is very beautiful this time of year. Oh, YouTube has the Real Housewives of New Jersey and Orange County that you can pay to watch. The Jersey ones is 12 seasons and 16 seasons of Orange County. Desperate Housewives. So let me look at here. It's 8 seasons. Housewives of Beverly Hills, 12 seasons. Young Sheldon, 6 seasons. Rules of Engagement. So yeah, they have, well, I had already said they have TV series on here if you want to look at them. I'm trying to see New York City, 13 seasons. I wonder if they got Blackish, Dubai, Real Housewives Girls Trip. here we go. Atlanta, 14 seasons of Atlanta. I know any of the housewife shows that I watched before Atlanta came on the air is probably thinking, where in the heck did she go? Because I'm here to tell you, once they put some of us on the air, once they put some of us on the air, I was like, that's it. Friends, if you want to binge watch that. 2.5 Men. Roseanne, 9 seasons of Roseanne. I remember looking at Wendy Williams one time, and I remember her saying, like, people who have anger issues shouldn't be on social media. And I say that because I was thinking The Outsiders, the complete novel, and the movie. So I'm here to tell you now. I had somebody cracking up because I was like, Raisin in the Sun. Usually the older ones you can watch for relatively cheap for like $2.99. And I'm talking about, real old ones. Well, and the reason I mentioned that because I look at Roseanne and I'm like, girl, you could have still been working. you had to get on social media and say something stupid and racist. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get off here and watch me a movie. And I will talk to you guys Monday evening at midnight. Adam's Rib Media Ministry is not going anywhere. So I've been playing the voice game on the voice app. If you're a voice watcher like I am, and I have been picking, so you get to be the unofficial coach at home and you get to pick teams. So my team is already filled up. I managed to fill it up even though I didn't get to see the whole episode of The Voice. Now, if you miss performances, you can go in and look at the performances and select people from your team for your team that way. I just like to see the live shows because I like to hear them. Music Monday is back. I'm back singing with the vocal chorus that I'm singing with. And someone just recently put up a picture of one of my favorite musical prophets, and it's a man named Kim Clement. So Kim Clement told this story about how he ran across Prince and offered him a prophecy. I don't know how true that is. It could be true because, musicians and singers kind of are very kind of fluid to me from what I've seen. And so they could be performing in some of the places, could be running in some of the same circles. But one of the things I liked about him, he was a musical prophet. Every so often I would catch him on late at night and he would be playing his keyboard. And as he was playing his keyboard, he would be prophesying. And he would be offering up prophecies, and they would be on spot prophecies. I mean, he would be right on. And so sometimes I would still like to look him up. He has since passed away. He's deceased, but he's still one of my favorites that I used to like to look up. And some of his prophecies, most of his prophecies would be spot on. I don't think I had any, nobody in the prophetic hits it perfectly, because we are still born imperfectly. Many times you have to pray for the interpretation even with dreams. You have to pray for the interpretation. You have to pray for the source. Where is this coming from? Is it really the Holy Spirit? Is it the devil? Okay, because Satan will try to torment you with stuff too. But one of the ways that I'm trying to move musically is that gifting of being able to be a prophetic psalmist as far as music ministry goes. And also, as far as my blog, Perfect Pitch, be able to teach on the purpose of music and what music is designed to do in the prophetic, as well as still promote some of my fellow musicians and singers' work. I'm not going to stop doing that. I'm also not going to stop doing Eclectic Music Geek. I love old music, what's considered to be old music now, which was new music when I was younger and it was first out. So when I come back the first Eclectic Music Geek that I do, which will be probably, won't be next Friday, but probably the Friday after that. Let me see here. So Friday, October 14th, more than likely, either that or the following week, I will be broadcasting. I will be broadcasting live. I will be doing I will be doing Eclectic Music Geek podcast. I had a brain fart there for a minute, and going and live broadcasting. I plan on the dedication being to Coolio. I was just thinking earlier, I remember there was a movie called Nothing to Lose with it's Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence. If you want a movie that is going to make you roll on the floor and laugh your behind off to, you have got to see this movie. The whole, from beginning to end, I could do nothing but laugh. Oh my gosh. And I think about, even thinking about it makes me want to laugh. This movie will have you laughing your behind off. You will be laughing until your stomach hurts. I promise. It is such a good movie. But at the end of it, Coolio, they had a song by Coolio called I'll See You When I Get There. So we hope that everybody ended up in the same place that has left us a little too soon, or at least a little sooner than we would like. If Coolio had a relationship with Jesus Christ in the land of the living, then he is not present with us anymore, but he is present with the Lord. And if we have a relationship with Jesus Christ right along with him, then we will see him when we get there. So you guys have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you Monday at midnight. That is me blowing you a kiss. You have a good one.